Lakers had a great win over the Pelicans on Sunday to punch their ticket to the 7-8 play-in game, and they don't have to go far to face their opponent. They are playing the very same Pelicans in that matchup Tuesday in New Orleans. The winner goes on to play the Nuggets, with the loser hosting the 9-10 game. The winner of the 9-10 game. Here's AD on what was clicking against the Pels.
I think we started off the third quarter pretty good, and then we got a little sloppy, some turnovers. We missed some easy shots. We started fouling, got them to the line. We had some things where we allowed CJ some walk-up threes. Obviously, Herb shot the ball well. He's an improved shooter. It was B.I.'s first game, right? I think he was on a minute restriction. It looked like he wasn't. So I'm not sure what's the plan for him on Tuesday as far as minutes and things like that. But I'm pretty sure he'll get more time. So we just got to come in and flush this one and watch some film tomorrow and try to figure out ways we can be better. I think on the defensive end, offensively, I think we're pretty good tonight. But the defensive end, it's some things that we can do better.
For them to only have 14 free throws for the game, that's pretty good damn defense in terms of not committing a bunch of silly fouls, which in turn put them on the free throw line. They get to see shots go in and gives them confidence from the free throw line to the three-point line. But just lean into what we did well, understanding that they may make some adjustments in terms of their matchups, and just have a plan, a backup plan, and an escape plan. Once we see what their response is to what we've done tonight, and so the chess game has been ignited, and we're all for it.
Tuesday's game is going to be extremely hard, extremely difficult, extremely physical. I've always known that when you play a playoff series, and I'm looking at this as like a two-game playoff series, if you win that first game, a team has multiple days to kind of sit on that feeling, or sit with that taste in their mouth of defeat. So they're going to be, extremely ready for us, and we have to come in with the same, sense of urgency as we had in previous games.
Yeah, I think LeBron and AD both making great points. You got to treat this like a series, and usually the team that loses game one has a little bit of advantage in game two because they're sitting on it for a couple days, and they're the ones that are going to make the adjustments. Lakers defense hopefully going to peak at the right time here, guys. They turned the ball over 19 times, the Pelicans did, and the Lakers turned that into 27 points. They had 12 steals, Brez.
Yeah, and 5 by LeBron. I mean, what an outstanding defensive effort by him. Really helped shut down Zion, too. The guy had 12 points. Just an amazing defensive effort, and it started with LeBron James and, of course, AD as well. Just such a threat down low for kind of an undersized New Orleans front line.
Yeah, I think they really got Zion out of sorts with the way LeBron was able to not just defend him, but defend him one-on-one without really requiring any help, letting the other guys stay home on C.J. McCollum or Brandon Ingram. And Zion, obviously he's this physical freak in terms of his speed and his size and his strength. But LeBron is one of the only guys in the league who can match him along those fronts. But in the meantime, he's got a wealth of basketball knowledge that Zion just can't have yet because he hasn't been doing this for as long as LeBron, much less over this many games of magnitude and stakes, like that sort of stuff. But LeBron has to pace himself a lot over the course of a season defensively for reasons that are understandable, and there can be a trickle-down effect and complications with it. But right now, he is locked in,
no doubt,
and you can see what he looks like in this version.
Lakers starters, guys, are 18-6 as a unit, which is pretty good, in case you didn't know.
Not bad.
I think the question that's out there is, well, what if, these guys had started from the beginning? Well, to me, I'm kind of past that because it doesn't matter because we'll never know. Just talk about how good they've been down the stretch.
Yeah, it really has been great offensively. I mean, all 5 of those guys have been really red hot over the last month or so. D'Lo had a bad week, but I like how he rebounded yesterday. Really nice move in the last regular season game for D'Lo. But I just feel like all 5 are on the exact same page.
I think part of the reason it works so well is these 5 guys, and I would count Jared Vanderbilt, but he's unfortunately not available. These are the guys who were the main holdovers from last year. And it's felt like they wanted to play together more throughout the course of the year. And at times it felt like, frankly, they didn't understand why they weren't. And even acknowledging the time that Vando's missed and Rui at the beginning of the year had a lot of different injuries, like it really felt like they were like we know what we can do together. Why aren't we playing more, regardless of who's starting, just the minutes together, the floor combinations? Since February, when Rui got put in the starting lineup, we're just seeing more of a group that makes sense and that I think really just enjoys playing together.
Yeah. One other note, AD is questionable for tomorrow night's game. However, I think everyone believes he will play, and he kind of alluded to that as well. So I think it'd be a lot to keep him out of that game.
For sure.
He is questionable on the report. All right, LeBron James knew the stakes against the Pelicans, and his performance backed it up. He had 28 points. He had 11 rebounds. He had 17 assists. Here's Austin Reese on watching LBJ cook.
I looked up, I think, about 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. He had 11 assists, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, they might have got a typo up here, but nah, he was just early. He was just making plays, and then obviously late in the game, he kind of, took over, got to the rim, got to the free throw line, but I don't know. I mean, I expect it. At this point, it's normal.
He's setting the table. He can always eat whenever he decides to. But he's just setting the table for everyone else. Everyone, so we shared the wealth. 32 assists. I think we had something similar to that the last time we played these guys. But we know this is a great defensive ball club, and they're going to force you to make the simple play and make multiple plays. And so you can't stall out after the first option is not available. You got to go to the second option and even a third option at times. But, that's New Orleans. They're good in transition. They're good in the half court with their deflections and their ability to get steals, the way they activate the backside of their defense by shifting and taking away your rollers and forcing you to find the right pass. And so it was great. We kept it simple. We kept the ball moving, played with a lot of pace, and made quick decisions. And I think that fed right into what you saw from Bron.
Just reading the game and just finding my teammates and just trying to put the ball on time and on target for either jump shots or guys at the rim, and just trying to be very efficient with my play. And you just try to prepare, and then you go on and play the game and see where it takes you. So I do like the way we played today. It was a good test for us. It was a good regular season for us, even throughout everything that's went on throughout this whole season. For us to, end the season 12 games over 500, 13 if you count the championship and in-season tournament. I mean, it's, for everything we went through, it was a pretty good season for us.
Brez, I'll start with you. LBJ locked in. He had 17 assists to go along with that triple-double. Quite the playmaking there from LeBron.
It's got to be a little surprising for the rest of the NBA, if not a little jarring, to see a guy at that age, the all-time leading scorer, dishing out 17 assists in a really important regular season game. But in big games, Kobe would sometimes throw the defense off by being a distributor first, and then doing exactly what LeBron did, closing in that second half.
So listen, LeBron has that famous quote back in 2021 that said, whoever coming up with the play-in idea should be fired.
Yeah, right.
But he has now been in it twice and looking at a third time. He's 2-0 in these play-in games, beat the Warriors and Steph Curry a few years back, and then beat Minnesota last year. How much confidence do you have in LeBron James in this kind of game?
Pretty confident.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about having him on the Lakers side. Anthony Davis as well.
Welcome back. Heading into a showdown in New Orleans. In the play-in tourney, the Lakers took 3 out of 4 games in the regular season, with the margin of victory in each of the contests being 15 or more. You look back on the New Year's Eve game. That was the one Pels win, 129 to 109. After Sunday's win, Brez caught up with Derek Fisher.
Fish, regular season is over. You would have played 82 already by this point, no doubt about it. Good win for the Lakers. Really beat up New Orleans by 16. They play them again Tuesday in that play-in tournament game. Is that a good thing for the Lakers? You just wallop this team, and LeBron trying not to sound too confident after the game. So it's a new game on Tuesday. Is that the mindset they have to have?
For sure. I think, anytime you get a chance to step out on the floor and not just confirm for your opponent. I mean, I think they've sent the Pelicans a strong message, of course, but confirming for yourself, what you're capable of when everyone is on the same page, when everyone's bought into the right things, when all we care about is winning, look at what we can accomplish. Every chance you get to tighten that in your minds, it's a good thing, and I think the Lakers have been trending in that direction over the last couple months. No, the Pelicans didn't shoot the ball well in that first game. I don't want to say first game as though it is the playoffs, but in the last game of the regular season, the Pelicans didn't shoot the ball well, and I do believe some of those looks will go down the next time they see each other, you know, in the next couple of days. So I do think the Lakers have to be better in some areas defensively to limit the three-point shooting. I think in the first half of that game, the Pelicans attempted 25 threes. And so at that rate, for a good three-point shooting team the way they are, that could cause you some problems if they're even getting that many threes off. So other than that, I think the intensity, the focus was there for the Lakers. Continue to attack the paint. Not a ton of free throws shot in that last game, but that's an area where the Lakers have always dominated their opponents.
Now, Zion, a very gifted young player, just finished his 4th regular season of his career. Pretty quiet on Sunday. You know, 12 points, 4 of 13. LeBron played pretty good defense on him. If you're Zion, what's going through your mind until Tuesday night in the rematch?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing for Zion, I think. And LeBron is almost like an older brother or an uncle that just, you kind of know that he knows you're not quite at his level. And so you're trying kind of, but it's not the same. He's not really going at LeBron with the same force that he goes at other guys with. So he's going to have to find a way to conquer that to figure out how he can be better when the Pelicans see the Lakers on Tuesday night. As far as the Lakers are concerned, you know, they just did a really good job walling him off. LeBron's strength obviously was problematic. But, you know, again, Rui's size, AD's size around the basket. You don't see a lot of NBA teams with that consistency in size across the front court. Most teams are playing one big and maybe kind of 4 almost perimeter wing type of guys. The Lakers are almost playing 3 bigs. When you think about LeBron's size, Rui's size, and AD's size. And that throws off the angles a little bit for Zion, but I'm sure he'll be better next time out. LeBron triple-double, AD 30 points before he left with a back injury. He and his coach both seem pretty optimistic about him playing on Tuesday. There are times where D'Angelo's threes send the Lakers out on a nice run to extend the lead, or it helps them to get back in the game that maybe they're behind in. So the ball going in for D'Angelo was great, and he gets a chance to come right back to that same building and try to see the ball go in a few more times. D-Fish, excellent regular season for you. Thank you, sir. Hopefully see you soon, my friend. Appreciate it, Grace.
Welcome back to Access. It was the battle of 2 former Pelican #1 draft picks in the season finale. AD won round 1, scoring 30 points to Zion's 12. AD also led in rebounding, with Zion getting just 8 boards. Here's head coach Willie Green on the difficulty guarding the Lakers.
They're really good with pick and rolls, pocket pass, Davis getting behind the defense or catching it, and they got cutting. So it's something that we, you know, we'll look at on film and get back to work tomorrow. We got this team again. So tough loss for us. We know what the deal was. They came out, they were the aggressors, and when you're the aggressive team, things go your way, and they had us on our heels all game.
They got a real paint presence, obviously, with Bron trying to get downhill consistently, and then AD being a road threat where he's offensive rebounding, he got some dunks, and then a couple of back doors. They got a couple ghost cuts on us, and I think that kind of opened it up a little bit, but we just got to do a better job being more solid and more sound defensively, and it starts with us executing better on offense, giving ourselves a chance by getting a shot every time, and not allowing them to get out and run in transition.
They got us with that baseline cut a few times. You know, when we're switching, we got to be more aggressive because, I mean, they were just teeing up threes. We got to make it a little tougher than that. So, yeah, there's definitely some things we could have done better on our part. And, you know, when we play them next, hopefully we make those adjustments.
Zion struggles, guys, going 4 for 13. Do you expect a different performance Tuesday night?
Yeah, that was pretty unusual. Yeah. I mean, if you look at his last 2 games before that against the Lakers, he had 30 and 26. So this is a guy who usually has his way with teams. He's had a really good post-All-Star run as well. I think he'll do a little better than 12 points, though, in the rematch tomorrow.
Yeah, I expect him to be better, but I do think the game plan the Lakers had against Zion and, by extension, the entire Pelicans, I think can work. Because LeBron, I think, is one of the few guys in the league who is as strong and agile as Zion. And I would keep him in single coverage for as long as you possibly can. D'Lo and Reeves, I thought, were as mutually dialed in defensively, like the two of them in the same game, as we've seen in a long time. Rui, I think, is also an option for Zion occasionally as a, like a change of pitch, that sort of thing. But until Zion starts requiring doubles, I would keep LeBron on him and just keep all of his outlets occupied and see where it goes.
Okay, so what's the counter, guys? Like, there's got to be a game plan. There's got to be a switch. Is it Valanciunas more? They barely used him at all. A bigger body on AD.
I don't know, because Valanciunas is not agile enough to deal with AD. Like when you're talking about LeBron and AD and Rui, like they're just a weird team that way.
Yeah.
Phil Jackson had a theory. You make teams adapt to you. You don't adapt to them. So I think New Orleans lost some leverage by really playing Valanciunas 3 minutes total in the first 3 quarters. They tried to adapt to what the Lakers were doing, and it failed miserably. So I think the Lakers will be pretty happy if they tried it again. Personally, I think Valanciunas he's not a top 10 center, but he's probably just outside at like 12 or 13. He's a very good player, double-double candidate on any given night, and he was just not a part of that game plan at all. I expect he'll get more than 7 minutes like he did yesterday.
Here's what I think could happen with this game, because Valanciunas is a really bulky, strong guy that sometimes gives AD trouble, and AD is still questionable with that back injury, those spasms. I would imagine that Valanciunas is going to look to test that.
Yeah.
Just like you post him up a few times, maybe if it's not even a great offensive option, but just to put a shoulder or body into him.
Get him going
or
physical,
just make him feel it. Just make him feel it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's NBA. I mean, we play every other day, and you have to make adjustments, and this is what the playoffs is like. From game to game, you got to look at game 1, make an adjustment going to game 2, and the day after next. So we'll be prepared, though.
With that Lakers team, how important is it to match the physicality that Bron and AD bring in the front court?
Very. I mean, they are one of the most physical teams in the NBA, and if you want to compete with them, you have to be physical as well. And so that's what our biggest focus is going into tomorrow's game.
When it comes to defending LeBron, how big is not only the physical part of it, but also his mental as well?
I mean, it's everything. He plays the game at a really high level, really high IQ level. And so you have to match that and also be smart as well as, withstand the physicality. And so your biggest thing is just following the game plan execution to a T and then, leaving it to that.
You guys put in so much effort to win those road games. Do you think you were maybe a little flat yesterday?
I mean, if we were, it's not really an excuse, especially because we had a chance to win 50 wins in the regular season, which is something that doesn't happen too often. And also with what was on the line, it was a pretty big game, but it's in the past at this moment. All we can do is just look forward to the next game.
Will you defend the pick and roll differently?
We'll have an adjustment for it.
How much more comfortable do you think the team's going to be with having Brandon Ingram back for a game going into tomorrow night?
It's tough. I mean, obviously stuff like that takes time, but you don't really have a lot of time at the moment. And he's a big piece of our team, and this is something we've been doing for the last 2 years of being with this team. We've had to integrate guys late or be without guys, and so we'll figure it out.
How much does this present kind of change things for you guys, B.I.?
A lot. I mean, B.I., he's a vocal leader, and he also, explains what he sees on the court at a very high level. And so having him out there just to be another voice as well as another brain on the court really helps.
So is it, Z was first overall pick in 2019. It was his first time in the postseason tomorrow. First time since you've been on the team. It's gratifying for you guys to be able to kind of welcome him into that environment and have him there to help you.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, it's always nice to have all your players there being healthy and all that. I think the biggest thing for us is just worrying about one game at a time. Don't treat it too, obviously you want to treat it very seriously, but don't, put too much pressure on yourself. Play free, play with a lot of energy and have fun. That's been the biggest thing. I think if we go out there and have fun and really compete, it'll take care of itself.
Why have you guys been so much better on the road than at home? Any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I know for me, I like haters, and so being on the road, influences that for me. So I enjoy that a lot, but I can't really speak for anybody else.
Do you get a sense of how Z's looking forward to his postseason debut, if you will, and You know, how much he's looking forward to it, how much you're looking forward to having him out there?
I'm sure he's pretty excited. I mean, we all are at the end of the day. I mean, obviously we wanted to win that last game, but can't dwell on that and just move on to the next one.
How important is it to get the crowd involved in the game early?
Very. So y'all show up to Smoothie King tomorrow, please. 6:30. All right, thank you.
They had us on our heels all game, just playing with force, playing with speed, playing with physicality, and we were lacking in all of those areas for pretty much the whole game.
So how do you kind of address that with the team? What's the kind of focus to kind of get all of those things in order?
We show it on film, talk about it, get on the floor and work on it, and that's what we did today in practice.
Hey, Willie, y'all have had a 49-win season, really good season, but how much do these next two games define, this week, how much does this kind of define you?
Yeah, we had a good regular season. We put ourselves in a really good spot where we got a couple cracks at it to be a playoff team. So we like where we are, and that's what our focus on is, kind of turning the page, being honest about what happened, disappointing loss on our home floor. Now we got to regroup and get back after it.
How did Brandon respond, coming off that long layoff play? Was he able to practice it and do everything?
Yeah. He was good. Body felt good today, so he had a full practice.
And do you anticipate tomorrow it's like free go basically for him?
I definitely anticipate his minutes going up tomorrow.
Is it hard, even a player as good as Brandon to just like bring back a new piece after 2 weeks or anything like that?
Yeah, there's some adjustments to it. We had that home stretch where we really needed him, and we need him at any time. But then you kind of make some adjustments, figure it out without having him, and then you get him back. You got to make some more adjustments, and he's a huge part of what we do. And so that's what we're doing now is talking about our rotations, how to get BI back on the floor and get him up to speed.
Really, y'all done y'all's best when your back is against the wall. It seems like. How confident are you in what's ahead?
I'm extremely confident in this group. We've been in these situations before, but it's not about me getting up here talking about it. We got to go out and do it.
What's your feeling on just some of these disappointing losses at home and what y'all have to do to address just playing better, in front of the home crowd?
Just that. We got to bring it. No excuses. We're on our home floor. It should be an advantage for us, and we got to step on the floor and bring it as a group.
How important is it to get something going early in these games to keep the crowd in the game?
Well, it's about playing hard for 48 minutes for us. Playing hard, playing together, playing our style for 48 minutes. When we do that, we give ourselves an opportunity to win the game.
LeBron last night obviously got in the paint a lot, and they got in the paint a lot. Is that the biggest adjustment that kind of has to be had as far as keeping them?
That's one of them. They were in our paint all night long. 68 points in the paint is too many, and they got easy baskets, miscommunications defensively. It starts with that for us. That's our foundation, so we have to be better in those areas.
Will you cover the pick and roll differently, Coach?
We will.
You'll go over more?
We'll mix it up, but we definitely will mix up our coverages on pick and rolls.
You think that was it just looked like they got it whenever they wanted it.
They did. Lack of physicality on our part. Kind of in no man's land as far as our rotation. So we talked about it, showed it on film today, and worked on cleaning that up for tomorrow night's game.
A couple of situations there, LeBron it was almost like he was putting a block on guys to free Reeves up. You got to do something about that, right?
Excuse me?
As far as like the pick and roll, it looked like a couple of times LeBron was just planting on guys. And
he was. He's doing a great job of setting screens, but that's a situation where it's a red for us, no matter who's on him, and then we can get to LeBron if he decides to post up smaller guys.
How's the day after this loss compared to the day after the IST loss? Because obviously you guys bounced back pretty well after the loss in the in-season tournament.
I couldn't hear you.
How does the day after this loss compare to the day after from the Las Vegas in-season tournament? Because you guys obviously bounced back really well from what happened in Vegas.
Both of them are tough. It's anytime you lose a game, you go home. I go home and evaluate what could I do better? How can I put our team in a better possible position? Our players are doing the same. We come back the next day and, you live to fight another day and try to get better, and that's where we are today.
You guys have found a level of comfort playing smaller these past couple weeks with AD and LeBron. Do you think that forces you to play a little bit bigger, or do you kind of have to lean into what you've done well lately?
We got to keep looking at it. They definitely present a challenge with being as big as they are and, going for offensive rebounds. I thought we did a good job rebounding the ball. We can be better, but, we'll keep looking at groups that we can be successful. Sometimes that's big. It may be some moments where we can play small.
Hey, Billy, obviously Z was drafted 5 years ago, and you've been coached for 3 years, and he's finally available for a postseason game. Could you speak to the significance, given the kind of shape he's gotten in, how he's played, and for the team in general, the significance of this moment for him, and how you want him to handle it?
Yeah, we're all extremely proud that Z has this opportunity, and our team has this opportunity. He's worked his tail off. Our team has worked their tail off to put ourselves in a position to play in the postseason and have a playoff berth. And so, like you said, his first time being able to experience this is a major step.
Well, Willie, yesterday Z told us in postgame that he was a little too passive. He thought he could have been more active. What did you see, and what would you want to see from him?
He's right. He has a good feel for the game. He has a feel for when he can be aggressive, when he needs to be more of a connector. And the last 4 games, he was doing a great job of mixing it up. And throughout the course of the game, he would find seams to be able to attack. And so we just got to get back to that.
Any explanation, Coach, for the road-home differential? I mean, it's just like when you get away from here, it seems like you're a whole different team.
No explanation for it. I choose to focus on the positives, is that we had a winning road record and a winning home record. And so now none of that matters. It's about just trying to get the next win.
It didn't happen the way you wanted it to on Sunday, getting into the postseason that way, but you still have a huge opportunity in front of you, an improvement from the season before. What does that say about what this team has done this season?
It says a lot. It says that we're moving in the right direction. We're steadily improving. And, those are major positives. It's hard to focus on that right now because our whole attention is on preparing for the next game. But when you step back and look at it as a whole, you can see that we're getting better and better.
Did you ever think that 49 wins wouldn't get you in the top 6? I mean, that's pretty crazy, right?
I didn't. I mean, if you would have asked me going into the season before the season started, we'll be 49 and 33, right? 49 and 33 for the regular season. I think we all would take it, figuring that that's going to secure a playoff spot. But the West was tough this season, and this is where we are, and we'll go after it.
I know this is a turn-the-page league, but how easy do you think that will be in the space of 48 hours to just say, okay, Sunday happened, we're just going to move on and not worry about it? Or is it a little more difficult than it might appear?
It's definitely difficult. It is not easy to turn the page. You play back, you play it all back in your mind, but that's what you have to do. And that's why we're in these positions, is because year in and year out from the time we've been playing, we've been able to do it. And in this league, you have to be able to turn the page quickly because there's a ton of games, and we're grateful to have this opportunity. So it's our mindset. We got to turn the page. We looked at it. We were honest about it. We worked on it. We'll come back, have a good shoot-around, get ready to go back after it tomorrow night.
How do you explain the first 5 or 10 minutes knowing the relevance of the game? Any thought on how that could happen?
Yeah, I have thoughts on it and beliefs on why it happened, but at the end of the day, nobody wants to hear those excuses. We got to get it done.
Thanks, Willie.
Thank you, Coach.
One more follow-up on Z is, given all the games he had to miss from injuries the first 4 years, it seemed like he might have been more like in terms of growing into the league, a second or third year player, which you often see have a lot of growth. I was wondering, did you see significant growth from him in certain areas of his game this year that you hope will really, pay off in the postseason?
I have. I've seen significant growth from Z on and off the floor. On the floor, his ability to continue to work at his conditioning, to stack his days, working on his game, his ability to be able to read the game throughout the course of the game and see what teams are doing to him. Sometimes they're packing the paint. He gets off the ball, tremendous passer. And then his defense. He's taken another step this year defensively, guarding the ball, being in the right positions, rebounding. So definitely seeing a ton of growth in him.
If I can ask one more. I know you always respect the Lakers, but do you think sometimes a young team maybe has a little too much respect for those guys?
It can happen. It can happen, definitely, but this is not the time that you got to respect your opponent, but not too much respect. So we respect them. We know what they are, and we know they're a good team, but so are we. And, we'll have a healthy respect, but once we get on the floor, all bets are off.
Have you thought much about what happened yesterday, or would you prefer to just move on?
Yeah. I mean, our game was at, 2 o'clock, so we had the rest of the day to really digest it and think about, had to think about, you got to think about it until the next practice. So, it was good to get that out of our mind today during practice and move on to the next one. We watched some film, went over some schemes and concepts that are going to be good for us going forward, and I'm excited for the next one.
Do you have to defend the pick and roll differently?
You'll find out tomorrow.
I'm sure there's a lot of tangible things that you can look at from that game that needs to be fixed, but how much of it does start on defense?
Most of it. They got wherever they wanted. They didn't really feel us defensively. Obviously, Brown was picking us apart. AD was awesome as well. So I feel like we just got to have more physical presence and make sure they know we're there early on.
And how much of the threat with Brian is not only his physical presence, but his mental as well?
It's funny with that guy. It's a lot of both. It's a lot of both. 'Cause, obviously he's our game's greatest ever scorer, but his mind for the game is supreme to a lot of guys. So tackling him is a really hard challenge, but I think we're up for it. Obviously he got us last game, but it's hard to beat a team twice in a row on their home court.
You have to be more physical against him, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. From the jump, they were moving first quarter, without us even getting hands on them. So, from the jump, we just got to assert ourselves more and be the aggressor.
Is it more difficult or easier to make adjustments so quickly against the same team just a couple of days after?
A little bit of both. Obviously, it's nice because it's fresh on the mind. We've got film from last night. The guys are, you remember being a part of, remember the actions. When we're going over plays, you can put yourself right back in the play, but to the same time, they get the same benefits. So I think it's about equal advantage for both teams.
Have you thought about the home-road discrepancy with this team? You guys are dynamite on the road, and at home it hasn't been the same. Any thoughts?
We're not worried about it. We're just worried about we have one game to win tomorrow, and that's all we're worried about. We just got to defend our home court. Obviously, anything else doesn't matter at this point.
So Z was drafted first overall 5 years ago, and tomorrow he's finally going to play in a postseason game for the first time. How big of a deal do you think that is for him and for the franchise?
Look, it's a privilege to play in the playoffs, to play in the play-ins. It's not given to anybody. So I don't think the pressure doesn't lie on him. He shouldn't feel all that pressure on his shoulders. Like, it's not one guy. This is a franchise thing. This is a team thing. CJ should feel the same amount of pressure as Z should feel the same pressure on him as me and JV and everybody else. So I think this is a big game for the franchise tomorrow. But it's realistically we got 2 shots to win one.
Is the team in any way gratified for him, maybe just because of all he's gone through the first 4 years, and even the last 2 years when you were in the playoffs, he wasn't available, and now he is?
We're very happy for him to be on this stage, but again, there's no more pressure that lies on him than lies on any of the rest of us.
You think just getting that game under B.I.'s belt is going to help just to kind of get him back in the flow, for this game coming up tomorrow?
Yeah, I do. I certainly hope so. Obviously, B.I. had some awesome stretches in that game, and he's been incredible for us all season long. So we're a better team with him on the court, but just when a guy like that comes back, both me and him coming back and playing, 25, 30 both, it's an adjustment, and so that's something that hopefully we got out of the way last night and can just push forward with this next one.
Larry, how much can the crowd help you if you guys get off to a giant start tomorrow?
The crowd would be great. The crowd would be great. It's you spoke about our home court woes this year, but having the crowd in it would be fantastic. But we got to be prepared for that sea of yellow that always shows up.